Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Matt Flood, greeting you with a warm welcome and walking you through the news of the day. Protecting the Great Lakes from invasive Asian carp is proving to be more expensive than thought. The original plan from August 2017 had an estimated cost of $275 million, but an updated report has tripled the cost to $778 million. The greatest cost increase comes from a plan to build a new channel, including an electric barrier, noisemakers, and an air bubble curtain. While the cost increase is great, the invasive carp pose a larger threat. Not only will they do a lot of damage to the Great Lakes ecosystem if they get through, but they pose a threat to the $7 billion fishing industry. Despite the jump in price, the plan is expected to be finished in 2027. Now, it's heading into December, and that means that people are getting into the giving spirit. Alyssa Leonard wants to tell you about the people handing out newspapers to cars driving by.
Many people in the Windsor area are familiar with the annual Goodfellas paper drive, but what some don't know is what the money goes towards when the drive is done.
The Goodfellas have a year-round food bank. It used to operate every other month, but now it's open monthly. And just before Christmas, they give out larger boxes of canned and dried food, toys for children, and provide gift cards to use at grocery stores to purchase additional fresh groceries. Bruce Tate, chair of the paper drive, says around 5,000 people will sign up for the service before Christmas. But the focus is year-round assistance.
We're starting something new in January. It's going to be carrying fresh milk, eggs, and margarine. We have 3 large fridges that we just had installed, and that'll just be something to add to people's diets.
The Goodfellas have a breakfast program in 9 schools that feeds around 1,500 students every morning. The not-for-profit also provides around 1,500 pairs of new shoes and boots to children in JK to grade 8 annually. Gilbert Barrichello, president of the Windsor Goodfellas, says these 2 services are unique to Windsor.
A student with cold feet or improper shoes in the classroom isn't going to be learning very much.
The Boots and Shoe program has now expanded to Tecumseh and LaSalle. Barrichello says both programs will be expanding further in 2019.
The Windsor Goodfellas have been in operation for over 100 years, and thanks to the generosity of Windsor Essex, their programs are continuing to expand. For MediaPlex News, I'm Alicia Leonard.
Windsor police are receiving money from the provincial government to fight sex trafficking. Nearly $100,000 to provincial funding are going towards a plan called Exit Strategy, meant to give officers technology and training to identify victims and perpetrators of sex trafficking. The plan also includes a multidisciplinary approach by supporting community partners to rescue victims. The funding comes from the Civil Remedies Grant Program, as Windsor has had connections with multiple human trafficking cases throughout the year. So, it's getting colder, and thankfully Christian Bodwin is in the studio to tell us how many layers of clothes we need to bundle up in, and hopefully it's very few. Christian?
Well, Matt, hope you like clouds and rain.
I don't.
Well, that's what it's looking like for the next couple of days. Today will be a high of 5 that feels like 3, with mostly sun in the afternoon. Tomorrow is going to be a high of 6, but it feels like 2 with rain, so get out your umbrellas. Finally, Sunday is going to have a chance of showers, but we will see sun and a high of 12. That's all from your weekend forecast. Back to you, Matt.
Well, thanks, Christian. My producer can only make me make so many cold weather jokes and connecting them to hockey. Frankly, I'm sick of it, so I'm just going to throw it over to Jordan Ferris for the sports report. What do you got, Jordan?
Well, you know, Matt, hockey may be Canada's sports, but the Raptors are Canada's team, and they remain on top of the NBA after beating the Golden State Warriors 131-128 in overtime. Kevin Durant of Golden State led all scorers in the game, dropping 51 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists in 43 minutes. And Kawhi Leonard scored a season-high 37 for the Raptors. Now, speaking of Canada's sport, Patrick Laine scored number 100 and 101 in a 6-5 win over the Chicago Blackhawks, adding to his November to remember. In the month, Laine scored a total of 18 goals and an astonishing 1 assist. And lastly, the Cleveland Browns have a chance at NFL playoffs this year. Yes, don't change your channel. You heard it right. The Cleveland Browns. Now, of course, it is a long shot, and even if they won out, it isn't a guarantee. But I mean, the fact that we're talking about the Browns and the playoffs, and it isn't the butt end of a joke, is kind of exciting for Browns fans. And that's all I've got for you this morning. I'll send it back to Matt.
Today, we're going to be talking Saints, Scruggs, and more this Friday Live. But first, we have Constable Christina Gilbo from Crime Stoppers in the studio to talk about what has been going on in Windsor. How are you doing, Christina?
Doing really good. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I gotta ask you, of course, what is our crime of the week?
So we had a robbery occur this past Tuesday, November 27th. It happened in the area of 8100 block of Tecumseh Road East at a local business. 2 suspects had entered the business wearing ski masks, and 1 suspect was carrying a firearm. The armed suspect demanded money and then concealed it in a satchel-type bag. Thankfully, nobody was injured, but both suspects were seen last running on foot toward the rear of the business. The suspects are considered armed and dangerous.
Armed and dangerous. Wow, that's actually pretty scary, I gotta say myself. Is that something that people gotta be worried about now?
Yeah, we just want to encourage the community to be a little bit more diligent, keep your eyes open, and if you see something, say something. Call the Windsor Police if you notice anybody acting suspicious.
Okay, so do we have any descriptions of these suspects?
Yes, the armed suspect was described as being a white male. He's 5'11", with an average build. His face was concealed with a ski mask, but he was wearing a red and gray plaid shirt with a black hooded sweater underneath. And the second suspect was described as being a white male, 5'11", wearing a black and white plaid shirt with an orange hoodie underneath and dark blue jeans.
Now, I understand there's also pictures of these suspects?
That's right. We posted the surveillance pictures on our website and social media pages. You can also see it on the Windsor Police website.
Okay, and if anybody has any information on these suspects, where should they go?
Exactly. We're encouraging the community to take a look at these photos and call Windsor Police or Crime Stoppers if you have any information about who's responsible for the crime. You'll remain anonymous, you'll never have to attend court, and you could earn a cash reward.
Okay, well, thank you a lot, Christina. It's good having you in the show.
All right, thanks for having me.
With the holiday season now upon us, people going across the border to shop and visit. It's good news that Ryan Percy has for us about the new Gordie Howe International Bridge.
On Friday, November 23rd, the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority held their annual reporting presentation. $200 million has been invested in the Canadian Port of Entry and $150 million has been invested in the U.S. one. All of the Canadian property required has been obtained by the WDBA, and 96% of U.S. properties have been either acquired or under court order to vacate. Jerry Lawrence, a corporate strategic manager with Rickman Enterprises Group, said the annual report meeting answered all of his questions.
I think the new CEO, I think he said he started in July. I think he'll address most of the questions directly. I posed a question about inclusion of First Nation companies and Detroit-based companies, and I think he'll address it.
More than 20 disadvantaged business enterprises have been hired to work on the U.S. project site, and almost 600 workers from 50 companies are trained to work at the Canadian Port of Entry. The chair of the WDBA, Dwight Duncan, says the bridge will help improve the economy in more than just trade.
There are now people that are being hired from out of the community. They're coming in, they're either renting places or buying places. And in turn, they'll go shopping, they'll go out to restaurants, and literally it's going to be in the thousands of people. So that multiplier effect will be felt throughout the economy.
With the bridge set to be open to the public in 2024 and confidence at such a high level, it seems like the Gordie Howe International Bridge is set to be a new artery to let fresh blood into Windsor and Detroit. For MediaPlex News, I'm Ryan Percy.
Now, some people may be interested in keeping things separate, but honestly, it's quite unavoidable that worlds are going to collide. Tate Harris is in the studio for an episode of Tater Talks with a very special guest.
What's up, everybody? This is the Tater Talks podcast. I got a special guest today, Chris Tomey, co-host of the 89X morning show, The Morning X. And Chris, I gotta tell you, this is a safe zone. You can talk as much crap as you want about Mark McKenzie.
Okay, good. Perfect. I don't know how special I am. Well, in my own way, I guess. But okay, sounds good.
Yeah. And you also host the on-call show on AM 800, 11 to 1. And you fill in for the TKO show the odd time. And so, like, what type of show would you say the 89X, the Morning X is?
Oh, that's a good question. A variety show? Because we will talk on politics. We will talk on what's going on locally throughout the city. But then we also talk stupid criminals. We also talk sex, rock and roll, drugs. You get a bit of everything. So I guess I would call it a type of variety show. Again, kind of try to keep it lighthearted, but with whether it's a mass shooting, whether it's election time. You got to sometimes go with the little tougher, touchier subjects. So
Yeah.
I go a variety show. But for the most part, 90% of the time, it's pretty lighthearted, pretty just goofy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to have a fun time. Like, are there moments you sit back like, this is, like, I'm talking about my favorite porns right now. This is my job.
Talked about the pile driver position this morning, and yeah, I'm cashing checks doing that. Like, you think to yourself, like, listen, radio's a grind at times. Am I making six figures right now? No, but am I cashing a check talking, like you said, about drugs and how much weed I smoke? And you're like, yeah, it's pretty darn cool.
Yeah. Was there something that growing up that got you into talk shows? I know you were a drama student originally, right?
Yeah, I always liked the live event. I liked drama, I liked the plays, but I never thought I was going to be an actor. I loved sports talk radio. Grew up on Jim Rome, grew up on Stoney and Wojo locally and stuff like that, where it was kind of like, wait a minute, I love sports. These guys are getting paid to just talk sports. And that was the thing too, where you think you had to be a former athlete or former something. You're like, no, these are just talking heads giving their opinion, just doing research, stuff like that. So it's like, okay. Then when I was like, okay, I'm gonna get into radio, I kind of got laughed at, not gonna lie. Like, what? Radio? Where's the jobs in radio? Who do you know in the industry? Nobody. Good luck. But that was kind of how I got into it. So
did you ever think you'd be on a show like 89X at all? Or like you said, you were all sports, and then here you are.
And then even my music taste is more Motown, oldie, or hip hop. I love hip hop. So we're doing a rock state. No, I would never have. You know what? That. And then you realize, well, you don't need to be a lover of rock music. You learn it along the way. You just take whatever microphone they give you, and happen to be rock music. So we'll do the rock thing.
Yeah, that's good.
But even AM 800, that's more my style. I like the talk aspect, the call-in shows, things like that.
What would you say to, possibly any of the students that listen to this in this program about trying to get into radio? Any advice for them? Or even about the industry
There
itself?
is jobs out there. You'll hear it all. There's no jobs out there or paying jobs. There's jobs out there. It's a grind, and you're going to have to work, good work ethic. But my true advice would be probably don't put all your eggs in one basket. Try to spread them around, whether that's at different stations or whether that's on promotion sides, on production sides, on the broadcasting side. Try to get involved in a little bit of everything. Again, because radio, there's not a ton of jobs, but there's jobs out there. So I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. Try to spread them out a bit so then you do have some fallback plans. And kind of like you're doing, whether that is on the production side of things or the promotional side, just spread it out. And then I just think you have a safety net in general. And then people will realize how valuable you are. Oh, he can do that. She can do this. They can do a bunch of things. So don't put your eggs all in one basket would be my advice, I guess.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you, and I appreciate the time for you to come in, talk to me, and then and have the
pleasure.
That was Chris Tolmie. This was the Tater Talks podcast. I'll talk to you again next week.
While we're a little biased here towards our love of the radio at the MediaPlex, I cannot deny that I love film. Film is one of my favorite things in the world. It is my favorite genre for as far back as I can remember. And watching some Netflix, Josie Richards is thankfully here to tell me what you need to watch this weekend.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome to the best flicks on Netflix with your host, Josie Richards. As we get closer to the weekend, I know you all want nothing more than to kick back and relax. And what's a better way to relax than by lying on the couch and binge watching Netflix? That's where I come in. I'll be giving you a weekly recommendation on what I think are the best flicks on Netflix to watch. This week's show is actually a movie titled The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. At 2.5 hours long, this is a great movie to binge when you're procrastinating on all your winter assignments. Now, the theme of this ballad is the Old West. We get to watch 6 short films composed into one that focus on different aspects of life for American settlers with a dash of both comedy and tragedy. The first short features Buster Scruggs himself. He's a fancy shooter and a musician. Donning a tan outfit and a white cowboy hat, you would assume he'd be the hero of the story. But you'd be assuming wrong. Buster ends up the bad guy and, unfortunately, dead. The second features James Franco as a failed bank robber. The third has Liam Neeson exploiting a limbless man for money until he finds a better meal ticket. Now the 3 remaining shorts look at the literal gold digger, a woman starting her new life on the Oregon Trail, and an unlikely group sharing accommodations with murderers. So here are 3 reasons why I think you should check out The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. 1. The cinematography. Shot for shot, not many shows or movies can compete with The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Now, I don't know where they filmed this, but the mountainscapes, lush fields, and sparkling rivers make for a beautiful backdrop. It really does look like what I imagine the Wild West would have been. 2. The ambiguity in the stories. Each story toys with good and evil, and you'll find yourself wondering which is won out in the end. And 3. The variety. Though all the stories share the theme of the Old West, they all deal with very different aspects of what life was like. We get to take on the perspective of an adventurer, an anti-hero, a criminal, a nomad, and so many more. This film presents a full picture, and I'm digging it. And there you have it. Tune into the best flicks on Netflix with me, your host, Josie Richards, next week for another recommendation. Back to you, Matt.
I watched that movie myself, and I do have to say it is incredible. Highly, highly recommend watching it. Now, you might not have a Netflix account, but maybe you're a subscriber to YouTube Premium. No? I didn't think so. Well, now YouTube is trying to break into the music stream market, and the music guys are going to touch on it. Take away.
Music guys. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Britt Blake.
I'm Sam Sinclair.
And we're
the music guys.
Alrighty. Today we're actually going to be talking about this new streaming platform by YouTube. Hey, what do you have to say about that, Sam?
I don't know. I'm still not crazy about what kind of YouTube has turned into. I miss the days when you could go in and watch hundreds of videos in one day and not see a single ad.
Yeah, it's kind of really irrelevant to even like have it because they had such a niche market on the video streaming thing because like Vine got killed and then everybody's using Instagram but very, very like I don't know, frugally.
Yeah. I feel like it wasn't necessary to have YouTube Music. We have Google Play, which is like the lesser of all these platforms, and we have Apple Music, and we have Spotify. Those are like the big guns. Like you don't really need anything outside of those two, really.
And then if you really want to reach, you have Tidal, and you have...
Oh, we have Tidal, and we have 8 Tracks, and we have all these indie... We have Bandcamp, and...
I honestly think if YouTube invested their money in that Symbol app that I was using over the summer, which was like... It was basically a social media just to share music that you like, almost like making a playlist.
It was like an Instagram, but exclusively for music. I loved Symbol.
And it was like you got a trophy if you shared a track first on it.
And it was niche, and it was interesting, and it was new. This is nothing new. I don't see them going anywhere. I'm sure it'll work. If Tidal can stay afloat, I'm sure this will work. But Google Play works.
Yeah.
But it's not needed. It's just kind of a money grab at this point. I think the YouTube Premium was kind of irrelevant too.
Yeah, I think even if you want to compare like Apple to like Spotify, like those are probably your best bets because they have everybody on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, this is our episode for the week. I'm Britt Blake.
I'm Sam Sinclair.
And we're the music guys.
Back to you, Matt.
Music guys.
Okay, so I mean, last week I promised that we wouldn't talk about Christmas music. It's happening. In this nearly 5 minutes with Cassidy McNays with Saints musician Jeff Burrows. I'm sorry guys, Christmas music is here.
Hi, I'm Cassidy McNay and you're watching 3 Minutes with Jeff Burrows. You may know Jeff as a drummer from the band The Tea Party or The Saints. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi.
So you have a concert for Christmas upcoming at Caesars Windsor. Mm-hmm. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's the 5th year in a row that we've been at the Coliseum at Caesars. It was a project that we started 8 years ago in the office of one of the college VPs, Ron Sigan. And it was something that Jody Rafool and I were brought together with to raise funds, raise awareness of both the college and local charities. So at first, it was an idea that should we just do a show, or could we make it bigger, and so on. So we thought of maybe recording a CD, and it was a big prospect, but we ended up doing it, and since then we've done 8 CDs. So every year we do a CD, and then we pair it with a big show. And now that it's at Caesars, it just seems to grow exponentially every year, from musicality to production to even the money raised. So this year we're intending on, and we're primarily with food banks now, and this year we intend on donating, you know what, I can't tell you that. I don't want to give you too many breaking news things, but yeah. So we're upping the game a little bit this year, which is good.
So do you guys play Christmas songs at this event?
Yeah, so it's very different. First of all, it's an all ages event, very family friendly. We're fortunate enough to be able to work on that stage. There's literally millions of dollars worth of gear, production, everything. So when we go there, we're afforded the opportunity to rehearse there for 2 or 3 nights, bring in different aspects and guests into it. And so far as the song structure, I think what people like about it most is that you're probably, gosh, I would say 65-70% Christmas songs, and the other songs are songs of inspiration or hope, not a la gospel music, but just anything that lifts up your spirits and preps you for that Christmas holiday, right?
So what's your favorite Christmas song?
My favorite Christmas song? Gosh, there's so many Christmas songs. I could tell you my least favorite Christmas song. Probably our rendition of We Three Kings, because it sounds very much like something off Led Zeppelin 1, but it comes across very rock and roll and heavy, but the sentiments are there so far as the lyrics are concerned.
What are some other musical influences you use?
In the Saints, for our albums, it's really nice. Every January, when everything is calmed down, we get together and we have a drink, and we go to an undisclosed pub, and we discuss what we're going to do for next year's album. And usually the album starts being recorded in April, so it's a Christmas record in April. But we just get together, we start talking about different bands and who inspires us and what the words can do for that particular song. Like, should we focus on it? Should we bring in a guest? How to up the game every year. So the inspiration has to not only live within the recorded music, but it has to translate live, because lately I find we're doing anywhere from 6 to 7 songs off the new record in the live show. So we have that kind of set in stone that we want to really kind of, push those songs out for the new show, because you want it to be different every year.
And how much rehearsal does that take to complete both the CD and put on the show?
So the CD has become pretty easy, which is wonderful, because at first we didn't know each other all that well. I mean, we knew each other as friends and band members, but a band is a different dynamic, and it becomes like a family. And now we've finally become this family where you go into the studio, and our producer Martin Back, who's just a phenom, puts everything together, and it's boom boom boom, and it comes out sounding pretty. And then everyone gets, we decide, I quite literally sent out an email this morning, what is our set list looking like? What is everyone thinking? So again, at least 5 to 6 songs off the new record, and then of course fan favorites, and then some that have to acknowledge the guests that we'd like to bring in.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Once again, I'm Cassidy McNay, and this has been 3 Minutes With.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of MediaPlex Friday Live. We are a presentation from the St. Clair College Journalism and Media Convergence program, and our production team consists of Ryan Percy and myself. This week we had contributions from Melissa Leonard, Jordan Ferris, Christian Bodwin, Ryan Percy, Tate Harris, Cassidy McNay, Josie Richards, Sam Sinclair, and Brett Blake. A special thanks goes out to Christina Gilbo from Crime Stoppers. I'm Matt Flood. Have a great weekend.